Hello and welcome to the Turn 4 podcast. I am your host, Dan Maldonado. If you're a new listener, welcome. If you're a regular listener, welcome back. This podcast comes from two lifelong fans of IndyCar and other forms of motorsports. Before we get started, let me introduce you to my co-host, Timmy. Hey, Timmy.
Hello, Dan.
How are you?
I am good this morning. How about yourself?
I'm really good. I'm very good. Very
Good.
well prepared. I'm looking forward to a great conversation today.
You're well
I
rested?
can't wait. I am well rested, of course.
Good.
Yeah, I'm
I
going
am
to
as
go for a
well.
run after this. So
I was thinking about going for a ride today.
there you go. I rode yesterday, 35-ish miles.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Cool. Did you have a group? You went by
Mrs.
yourself for that.
Winter and GMAC.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Very good. It was a little chilly yesterday, but the sun came out. Did you go early or did you go late? Kind of
9
interested.
o'clock. 9 o'clock rollout.
Oh, wow.
So it was freezing when we left. It was still in
it's
the
really
20s.
cold.
And it got
Well, today-
beautiful when we were coming back.
Yeah, I rode last Sunday, so I'm looking to do it again, repeat what I did last week. So we'll see if I can get out there. Looks like the temperature is going to go up. So, which is interesting because it's February, right? And typically we don't get out. Well, I don't. You do. I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, good.
So just to take a quick diversion for those IndyCar fans that have been IndyCar fans for more than 20 years or so, we rode up to, because it's one of my favorite places to ride up to. I have no idea why. What was built as Vistion Village, which when it was built was Vistion Village at the time when Roberto Moreno drove the Vistion car in IndyCar with Pat Patrick Racing and all that. So we rode up to Vistion Village, which is now not Vistion Village. It's part Vistion, and GE is in there, and I think there's a couple of financial services companies that are in there too. It's a massive complex, but it's a beautiful place. And it's on they call it Grace Lake is what they call it now. And it's got a little man-made lake, I'm sure, from when they were building it, and they probably needed a retention pond and whatever else. So it's really nice. It's one of my favorite places to go.
It's like a commercial complex for
Mhm.
office buildings. Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. And it's really nice, like
Never seen
how
it.
they built it and the look of it and everything. They did a nice job with it. It really looks good.
Sounds like it's a little bit of a distance from your house since you rode 36 miles.
Yeah, it was our turnaround point. So it was probably like 16, 17 miles from where
Yeah.
we were. Yeah.
Very cool.
On the bike.
Well, you have to take me there one day.
I will
Right.
actually. It's a nice ride. It's an easy ride. So, hey, I got a couple of housekeeping things to knock out. The first one is you are a regular listener. You're going to notice at some point during this podcast that there's going to be ads automatically inserted into this podcast. So we have made a decision as a company to change our podcast hosting service to one that provides ad services automatically and then generates, obviously revenue. There's a cost associated to what we do here. This is not our regular full-time job. We do have a regular full-time job. We enjoy doing this. We will do this for as long as people download and listen to us, and we're proud of what we've been able to build here. But at some point, we've got to try to cover at least some of the costs that we have here. So you're going to notice that in there. So just giving you a quick heads up. The second thing I'll tell you is we teased last time that we were going to have some guests. So one guest, we just happened to catch him at the wrong time. He's on vacation, and we're going to reschedule to get something on there. And he's kind of someone of a IndyCar Twitter darling. So we'll get Chef Brian on here to talk to us about Indy points, and we'll try to get his flavor for who he thinks is going to win this season: championship, rookie of the year, Indy 500 winner, and things like that. We also reached out to another guest. I'm not going to mention who that is, a couple of times, and have heard nothing in return, which makes me insane. I am a big boy. I'm in sales, been in sales for a very long time. No, doesn't necessarily bother me. So I would be, more than happy to get a response back that just says, "Hey, thanks for reaching out. Appreciate you thinking of me." No.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
yeah, I think that's the courteous thing to do, right?
Yeah,
Just say no if you don't want to do it.
Not that I think this person is listening, but I'm not going to call them out. I don't think that's right. But I think that the topics that we proposed, especially for this particular guest, would have been great topics to listen to what their perspective is and their experience in IndyCar and being able to bring a different a nuance to this thing that other guests probably wouldn't be able to. So
Mm-hmm.
with all that out of the way, oh God, I got one more piece here. Tim, I'm going to St. Pete.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah. So the good people at Green Savory Racing Promotions approved our application.
Yes.
I'm excited to be there. It's I had actually already closed the book on that. I didn't think we were going to get approved for it. We hadn't heard from them yet, and surprisingly, a couple of days ago, they sent our application back. So it is going to come in the middle of a lot of work travel. So I can't credit my wife enough for helping me talk into this decision, because literally for the last 2 days it was, I can't go. I just can't go. I got too much going on. So, but I'm going to fit it in there, and I can't thank her enough for helping me out with that. So I'm not saying that I'm going to go there and be Jenna Fryer or Nathan Brown by any stretch of the imagination, but after seeing how things work at Detroit, I feel like I'm going to be a little bit more motivated to talk to people and get them on the record, which we talked to a lot of people. We didn't get anybody on the record. So I want to be able to do some of that, and being able to provide our listeners with a little bit more depth while we're there. That's the point of it, right? So that's what we're looking forward to there. So more to come on that one.
Well, I'm happy you're going, Dan. I thought I didn't think it was going to get approved, but it did, and it came later than I expected anyways. But I think you're going to have an awesome time. Look forward to hearing back from you on what takes place there at St. Pete and how it's different from Detroit, and obviously get insights from the drivers and the teams and the engineers. I know we talked to the engineers as well. So have fun out there.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm going to miss you not being there, but I will do everything I can to represent the company and the show here in the best light possible.
I have no doubts that you will.
Can I wear my "You Don't Know Jack" t-shirt?
You can.
You can't really go there. And
I think it's Go Jack Go, though. I think that's the new one. So I think you need a new shirt.
Yeah. See, Go Jack Go means something different to you than it means to me. To you, Go Jack Go means go learn to teach somewhere. Go Jack Go means, oh, dude, you got to get it in gear here. So that's what it means to me. Maybe that'll come up again when we do our season predictions. But hey, Tim, right now we got some news.
We had on hashtags. Yeah.
I like Jack Harvey. I told you that.
I know you do.
I'm pulling for him for a number of reasons.
I know you are. We got some news.
Daytona 500 kicks off the NASCAR season today.
Yeah.
We don't normally record on,
Sunday morning,
9 a.m. But, nonetheless, here we are. Tim, I didn't watch the duels. I watched a little bit of the end of the first one, and then I watched a little bit of the second one because that's the one that Conor Daly was in. That car was bunny hopping around. I have no idea. It was like a bad NASCAR impression of the Formula One porpoising. So I don't know what the hell was going on there.
Somebody was in the back seat having fun.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, too much fun. Did you watch that race?
I watched a little bit. We were having some power issues at the house. The power was going in and out, so I missed most of the first one. Saw a lot of the second one. It's restrictor plate racing, right? And it's driving around bumper to bumper, but it's still entertaining. So yeah, I saw some of it. I saw the porpoising. I'll call it porpoising. That Conor had. Something was really wrong. I just can't believe you don't have any practice prior to going out and doing a qualifying run first, which was the day before, and then doing the duels.
Yeah.
So you have to go off of history, which obviously there's no history when it comes to Conor Daly getting out there and putting the car together. So somehow they made it in, right? So there was a wreck that happened, which allowed Conor to get in. So I'm excited to see what happens with him today.
Me too. I'm surprised at the lack of practice times as well, because it's not like we're looking at cost management or we're trying to be more sustainable or whatever reason that you want to give it, because they qualify to race to qualify. So it's not like, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to skim down running, because it's like, if you really wanted to do that, why wouldn't you just line up people for the duels in a blind draw or based on last year or something like that and put them out there, as opposed to letting them run in qualifying, to run in the duels that, then sets the qualifying thing. So it's like, it just doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't do that, especially
Yeah.
given that it's Daytona. I mean, the best comparison to IndyCar is Indy 500, and there's no shortage of qualifying at Indy
No.
or running time at Indy. I
Yeah.
shouldn't say qualifying necessarily, but there's no shortage of running time at Indy when it comes
No,
to
not
that.
at all.
So I don't know why you wouldn't do that. It's your biggest race of the season.
Yeah, it's weird that they lock in the first two positions, right? And then you still go to the duels and race. And if you're that team or that driver, like, why do you even go around the track in the
I wouldn't
duels?
risk wrecking your car.
I know. And then if you
Mhm.
wreck your car, you go to a backup, you immediately go to, you fall out of the top two. So I don't
Yeah.
understand it. There's got to be some rule that says you got to have to complete so many laps in the duel in order to keep your 1-2, I would imagine, but I've not heard of that. They didn't talk about that because, when um, Kyle Larson was running around and that he was staying up front in the duel number 2, the announcers kept saying, like, we're surprised he's still staying up front. What's he doing up there? He's, has a chance of wrecking his car, which would then obviously put him out of the front 2 spots. So they decided to stay up there. Alex Bowman took the other hand and he said, you know what, I'm just going to back off. And he rode around in the back and then was on his
Yep.
own for a while there. So,
What's funny is when you consider that, that's probably what I would have done, right? Like I don't think I would have. I mean, yeah, it's nice to win and your sponsors want to see you up there, but Kyle Larson's car didn't have a sponsorship on it, right? It wasn't like he was running somebody's. It was Hendrick cars.
yeah. Yeah. It's the
So
dealership group, right?
is there more exposure to Hendricks? No, not necessarily. As opposed to having like Sancio on there or Budweiser or something like that. I mean, that's a whole different story,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't understand why they would do that. So, like you said, Alex Bowman lines up on pole, Kyle Larson right outside. Um, some other notables there: Ryan Blaney 7th, Chase Elliott 8th. God, there's so many names here I don't know. Eric Almirola, or let me go back to Joey Logano 3rd, Marola 4th, and then Brad Keselowski in 10th place. He rounds it out there. So sorry about the cut and paste on that, but um, that's your top 10. I think two things stand out to me on that top 10 is I didn't realize this. I just somehow found this. I'm not a NASCAR fan, right? Brad Keselowski does not have a Daytona 500 win.
Yeah, that is true.
Is that a surprise to you, or did you already know this?
I
Like
I
this wasn't
wasn't
the mind
aware.
blowing
I
stat
had
that
to
it was
look
to
it
me.
up. I had to look it up. I guess it doesn't surprise me. It's a hard one to win, right? If you look, he's got 35 wins in the NASCAR series. So it's not like he's got a pile, like a ton of wins. Obviously 35 is good, but it sort of surprises me. I think more surprising than that is Kyle Busch doesn't have a Daytona
That one
500
too, yeah.
win. That one's really big. And you look at, he's got nearly 60 wins, or he has 60 wins in NASCAR. So I'm a little more surprised that Kyle Busch doesn't have it versus Brad Keselowski.
Oh, interesting. So you rank Kyle Busch higher than you rank Brad,
Oh,
hometown
absolutely.
Brad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think with Kyle having his 2 championships in the series, Brad, I think he's got one championship. So,
Yep.
but when you go 35 wins versus 60 wins, look at polls, things of that sort. Kyle Busch, I think, is way ahead of him when it comes to what he's done in the series and what he represents. And and Brad's older than Kyle by a couple of
Yes.
years.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it
Hey,
doesn't surprise me. I don't think Penske's and just to cover off on that, I don't think Penske's been as strong as the other teams at Daytona over, the
and
years,
that
and
certainly could
Brad's
be
always
Henry
been there.
with Brad.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
One name missing from that top 10 starting is Kevin Harvick, who announced that this will be his last year in racing. He's going to retire. I didn't look it up, but the two things that I saw there said that he was retiring. So this wasn't I'm stepping back from full-time racing and I'm
Hmm.
going to race, here and there and whatever else. It's that I'm retiring. So Kevin Harvick will line up in the lucky 13 position. Like I said, this is last season. Tim, if I can borrow a football term,
Hmm.
is Kevin Harvick a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Absolutely. No questions asked. Look how he got
Interesting.
into the series. You
Yeah, the
remember how
number
he got
3.
into the
Hmm.
series?
Yeah, when
He
Dale Earnhardt died.
Yeah,
See?
so he
Yeah.
got into the series that way. He's got 60 wins over
Hmm.
his career. You mentioned he's retiring. He's our age, a little bit
He
younger,
is.
but he's still
Yeah.
born in the same year we were. He's got one championship, and then he's got one regular season champion. I guess this is like the
I
playoff.
think that's baloney. I
I
left
don't
that
even
out
know
of the
what
notes,
that
as you know.
means.
Yep.
And he's a
Yep.
Daytona 500 winner uh, in 2007. And then think about this, IndyCar fans, Brickyard 400, 3-time winner of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that goes 03, 19, and
Yeah.
20.
I met him one time briefly at a Jimmy John's franchisee conference in Vegas, and he was the nicest guy in the world. And I shouldn't say this. He struck me as smaller than I expected him to be. Like I thought he was going to be a tall dude, like tall and thin. He was smaller than I expected him to be, and that comes from me. But he had a big
He's
head.
taller than us.
Like he looked like he had a really like a great big melon. He was super nice guy though. Super nice guy. It was great to meet him, and he couldn't have been nicer at that event.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
Um, do you care to give a guess on who you think will win this? Are you vested enough? Like I'm not at all.
Yeah, I think I want to give a prediction,
Go ahead.
just because I'm a race fan, and typically we have a group of people that come over for Daytona just because it's middle of winter and nobody's
Mhm.
doing anything, but we're not doing that this year. So we sort of get into it and do some fun games for people that aren't race fans just to get them in racing. And I know there's probably IndyCar fans that are saying, why don't you do that for the Indy 500? Why don't you do it for an IndyCar race? Why are you doing it for NASCAR? Because at the end of the day, I don't really care what happens in a NASCAR race. So I can have conversations
Yeah.
and be social, where if it's Indy 500 day, we shut the house down. If we don't go, we shut the house down, pull a TV out, and you watch it from start to finish, and you don't have
Yeah.
any conversation with anybody. So having said all that, I do have a prediction. And I think one of the folks that I mentioned earlier who doesn't have a win at the 500 is going to win this year, and it's going to be Kyle Busch.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
With he is running at Childress Racing this year, right? This
Yes,
is
he
first year
is.
with
Yep.
Childress. Yep.
Yep. He
And he's in the
is.
number 8. Is that right? I put you on the spot.
Yes,
Sorry.
he is. He's
Yeah.
on the number 8. He's driving the Chevy Camaro for Richard Childress Racing, and he
That's
had
a
a really
bold
good
prediction because
Yeah,
the Chevys haven't been that good.
he looked really good in the duel until he got spun around.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. The Fords have been strongest. I think Chevy second. Toyota's been sort of behind the other two. The other thing that's interesting is that Toyota doesn't have that many cars in NASCAR these days. It's like 7 or 8 versus
Correct. That's right.
Ford and Chevy that have the lion's share of the cars. So I don't know what that means from a Toyota perspective and what they're thinking of from, where they want to put their money into different motorsports. So that leads me to speculate. It's pure speculation that maybe there's still a chance you get Toyota and IndyCar.
I think, yeah, that's the most
Do you want
likely
to make a
candidate
prediction?
for
You
that.
you probably don't, right?
I am, and I'm going to go against what I just said to you. And I'm going pure on meathead numerology. I'm going to go with the guy who lines up 8th in the number 9, and that's Chase Elliott.
That's why you got him
Another
highlighted, huh?
Chevy,
You got
Hendrick Chevy, but that's who I'm picking.
So you got
Means
Bill
absolutely
Elliott's
nothing.
son winning this thing, huh?
That's right.
Very interesting. Well, we'll see. Today's the day. We'll see what happens. I don't. Are you going to watch most of it or no?
Probably have it on. I've got to pack and get ready for a work trip tomorrow morning early, so
Yeah.
I've got to do that. So I'll probably get ready to leave, with
Yeah.
that in the background.
I may.
Can we
watch
make
it.
a broad prediction on Conor Daly? Like, is he going to finish? Is he not? I don't know if we can put a number on it.
Yeah, based on what I saw in the duels, he is not going to finish.
You don't think he's? Yeah,
It's
I'm leaning
DNF.
DNF as well. Yeah,
It'll
or
be a
like
DNF.
significant laps down.
And I've not looked at any of the practice times. I know they did practice after qualifying, so who knows if they've
Yeah.
got that car figured out. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody else knows.
Yeah. Well, we'll be looking at it and we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
hey, moving into IndyCar, which is the butter on our bread here. More testing over the past week, Tim. I put zero stock in testing numbers, as you know. But I am sensing a bit of a trend here with some of the testing, and that might be this. Andretti Autosport looks like they might have sorted something out with these cars. We had the road course at Thermal, basically a street course, bumpy street course setup at Sebring, and they were fast. In fact, this past week, Grosjean and Kirkwood led the way on day one at Sebring, and they were only 300ths of a second separated the two, with Grosjean leading Kirkwood.
Yeah. So you must have been listening to me last week.
No.
2 weeks ago, because I said I think they got it figured out.
Well, yeah, but again, it's still practice, and I've got to fill up IndyCar space in this podcast.
I like when you call it practice and not testing.
Testing,
by the way.
Testing. It's testing.
Yeah.
Testing.
Practice. Yeah, it's practice. That's testing. Yeah, Kirkwood, I think, is going to be good. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this season.
Go ahead.
And I said this last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. He's going to be up there. So I can't wait to do our predictions for 2023, which we're going to have to do that very soon because the season opener is
next week.
14
days.
Will be
our next podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think I'm confident they got it figured out. They're going to be strong, and you're going to see Kirkwood up in the top 5 quite a bit, in my opinion. And I can take that all from practice.
Yep. Testing.
Practice.
Day 2 was the McLaren trio of Award, Rossi, and Rosenquist. They led the way. They were marginally faster, or I should say that the Andretti group was marginally faster than the McLaren trio. But we, obviously there are things there where I said that wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say
marginally faster than the Andretti group.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how much you want to put into that because, things change based on whatever the ambient conditions are. And then the track always gets better with more running. So that could be a little bit of
gets rubbered in
to McLaren. Yep.
Yeah.
I still don't put a lot into that, but how does that strike you?
I was very interested to see the gap between Award and Rossi, and that was my only thing. It wasn't compared to any other team. I just want to see how quickly Rossi could get up to speed. I think he was a couple tenths off of Award, maybe 3 tenths, something that seemed pretty small. But ahead of Rosenquist, which is interesting to me. So I don't know. It's practice, right? We'll see what happens at St. Pete, and we'll see what happens at St. Pete. You're going to be there, so I'd love to get some intel of what's going on with these two teams and who becomes or who is the third overall team. And I've seen some. I've heard some other people say that this McLaren team is third in row behind Penske or Ganassi and Penske. We'll put it that way, I think, or Penske and Ganassi, whichever way you want to put it. And then Team Andretti is behind that. So these teams are going to be squaring off against each other, and I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out, not only in St. Pete, but in all the different types of courses that the Indy cars run on. So St. Pete, obviously being a street course.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. I'm not as bullish on Kirkwood as you are, and some others. I want to be, but I'm not, for a number of reasons. Several I won't get into here, but Grosjean, I'm good on. I've been bullish on him, and I'm starting to wonder about that going over from Coyne to Andretti. So we'll see what it looks like this year if his he is able to more fully develop the engineering to suit his style versus a 4-car effort.
Yeah. Well, you were bullish on Grosjean, as you mentioned, bullish on Harvey, bullish on Graham, and none of those.
I wouldn't say I was bullish on Harvey. I wouldn't say I was bullish on Graham. I was, and I've never been bullish on Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan.
You had him winning the 500.
Shown anything?
That's pretty bullish to me.
They didn't. Oh, Graham. Yeah. But that's we take the 500 as a different piece to the season. So it's one race, one month. But I've had some issues with that. I'm cautiously optimistic this year with Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan that they're that they've been able to clean up what they need to clean up on the engineering side to put cars on track that are at least reasonably ready to race, where last year they were not.
Well,
you know.
I don't think they're helping themselves with the new driver they put in for the Indy 500.
Oh, don't go there.
I'm
Don't go
I'm
there.
just
Don't go
saying.
there because we're going there in a minute.
I know. I see it on the
Yep.
list.
No,
I'm just
no, you
saying.
don't, because I got new stuff. So no, you don't. So let me go back to this. Will Power finally got a chance to get Chevy and the new hybrid system out on track. They were very quick and very repetitive to say that it wasn't for times, that they weren't looking for times. They weren't trying to, we're not trying to do a time here. We're not trying to do a time here. Hey, Tim, they weren't trying to do a time here.
I don't even know what they're
So
trying to do.
quality assurance. So make sure that
For 5 laps, or was it more?
Yeah, and then they had a transmission issue, which you believe transmission issue is translated from the original Latin for just about any other issue except transmission.
Yeah, it's always
right?
a transmission.
Yeah. So
yeah, that would be an engine issue.
transmission or
folks.
electrical, right? Is what it's
Yeah.
always. Yeah,
Exactly, which translates to an engine problem.
yeah.
So they ran 5 laps. That just tells me that Chevy's not ready. And Honda's been on the track before with the hybrid system. So
and they just won the Rolex 24 in a hybrid powered
Mhm.
V6 that's pretty.
and the
darn similar
Cadillacs
to what they
seem
got there.
fine. We had a whole episode on how the hybrid system that's being built there is pretty much the same one that's going in IndyCar, we believe, right? Based on the research you did. So it just tells me they're probably not ready yet. And
Yeah.
they just put it on track to I don't know what they did, but it wasn't very successful in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, right? I mean, there's still a lot of time, but there's not a lot of time,
There's not.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Tony Kanaan announced that he was retiring from IndyCar after the Indy 500. Tim, similar question that we asked about Kevin Harvick. Is TK a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I'm going to say yes.
Is that a reluctant yes? Because
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit of a reluctant yes.
Okay.
I know he's a fan favorite and all that. His win percentage is like 4%. When I was like saying yes about Harvick, his win percentage is 7.5%. So
yeah, more races.
But it's still percentage of percent of the total races you were in. So yes, I think so. He's a series champion. He's an Indy 500 winner. He's a fan favorite. He's I don't know, an Iron Man, right?
Yep.
Like he's everything. And he runs Ironmans, but at the same time, he's an Ironman, like just longevity in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So I think absolutely. I guess I'm not jumping out of my seat saying yes.
Right.
But
you said his win percentage is like 4%. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
It is.
4%.
You're right, but it's 389 races. I mean, that's a pretty big number. So let's just reset here real quick. So he was the lights champion in '97. He's a half a year older or he's 4 months older than me, by the way.
Yeah.
He was the kart rookie of the year in '98. US 500 winner in 1998. 2004 IndyCar champion, 2013 Indy 500 champion, and a 2015 Rolex 24 overall winner. I just threw that in because I enjoy that. In his 8 seasons with Andretti, and at the time it was Andretti Green, it was 2013 or 2003 to 10. Okay. His average finish across those years was 3.875 in the championship. So he finished 4th in the championship every year while running for Andretti Green, and then 1 year as Andretti. As a full-time Chip Ganassi driver from 18 to 20, he finished 8th in his season average. Championship finish was 8th place. You combine those two, and his season average was just over 5, 5th in the championship.
Okay.
That's a hell of a career.
Yeah, it's a good career. I agree.
That's a hell of a career.
It's a good career.
I think it's hard to look at win percentage because the number of races that he ran, but yeah, his win percentage is low. Okay. So that's why when I look at like his championship situation, I looked at the teams where he had the best possible opportunities to win championships.
Best equipment.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 20% of the time he was on podium. I think that's pretty good. 3.5% of the time he had poles, right? And you compare that to like Will Power. That's, is
Wasn't
not even
Andretti
around
Green
here.
like unstoppable during that
Yeah.
time
Yeah,
period though?
it was Kanaan, it was Weldon, Brian Herta,
Yeah.
Marco, and whatever else. So they were an
Yeah.
unstoppable force there. They were really good.
Yeah, they were.
Can I give you some comparison though?
Yeah, I love the pencil notes. So give me some
Yeah.
more.
Let's just pick somebody randomly that seems to get a lot of airtime and a lot of, I don't know why this guy's not back in IndyCar.
Oh my gosh. So I know where we're going.
Ryan Hunter Ray.
Okay.
282 total races, so much less than Tony Kanaan. 6.3% win total with 18 wins. 16.7% podium with 47 podiums, and 2.5% of his races he started on pole. 7 poles. 7 poles on 282 races.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at it side by side, Ryan Hunter-Reay did not race in Indy Lights. He raced in Atlantic, and he finished 6th. He was the 2007 IndyCar Rookie of the Year when he ran for Ray Hall Letterman, where he finished the season 19th. So I don't even know how many other rookies there were, if there were any at all. 2008 Indy Rookie of the Year. He finished 6th in a year where Scott Dixon won that championship, or won that 500. 2012 Indy champion, season champion. 2014 Indy 500 champion. 8th place season average during his 10 years at Andretti. 8th.
There's some good years and not so good years.
A lot of
with
not
Andretti
so good
overall.
years. Yeah. Last win was in 2018. I think it's Sonoma. And then he retired in 2021. So he ran 19, 20, and 21 winless in Andretti. When Rossi and Herta had been winning races during that same period of time. So I know I keep pulling this thing out with the Ryan Hunter-Reay thing. I'm boggled by why people think like he's an untapped resource in an IndyCar, given that as the backdrop.
Dan, I think he's got experience, and I think experience brings information back to the team that allows the team to put a better car on track. So I think that's why his name keeps coming up. And I think people look at him and go, he's still young enough to race, and he brings that experience that I mentioned. So, and even that you mentioned.
Yeah, sometimes experience and feedback back to the team can blur the line between experience and complaining and whining back to the team.
True. But I don't know if that's sort of how he
it's how I perceive him. I'm just going to
feedback.
say that. So, I mean, if people want to roast me on Twitter, that's fine. It's how I perceive him.
Well, there's obviously some folks and I think it's some journalists that see
His
value
name
in
comes
him.
up every time there's an opening, right? It's like written in ink. Everybody else's name is written in pencil.
Yeah.
It's like, can we close the chapter on Ryan Hunter-Reay? I mean, kudos to him. Good career. Thanks for playing. Appreciate having you out there. Represented DHL wonderfully for many, many years. But I mean, by and large, to me, Tim, you say, okay, 8th place, average finish, across the 10 seasons at Andretti. I feel like that's underperforming in years where Andretti had really good cars.
Oh, they did. There were years they didn't have great cars too during that time
Correct.
period. So it's not all roses through that whole 10 years that he was there. So,
but that's where I go with it, right? I mean, in terms of like his accolades and the road to his retirement, and nowhere near as storied or as decorated as even Tony Kanaan, who you're hesitant to say is a first round Hall of Fame.
I I was blasé about it. I was like,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. But when you look at it, and I don't know if it's a fair comparison. I don't think it's a fair
It's
comparison,
a
but
tough comparison, but it's the best that I've got because, obviously I have to segue into Kathrine Legge is going to be the fourth Ray Hall Letterman car. And, everybody kept talking about Ryan. Is Ryan going in that car? That Ryan should be in that car. Oh, let's put Ryan in that car. Oh boy, we hope to see Ryan in that car. Why wouldn't somebody, my favorite guy, I love him. I love him to pieces. You know that, Kevin Lee, right? How about someone like Ryan Hunter-Reay? I love how he says it
Mhm.
like he's thoughtful about it. It's like, dude, we all know it's coming. Let's just say it, right?
Yeah,
Let's not be
yeah,
hesitant about it. Well, how about, hey, when you take a look at, if you want to put somebody with experience in that car, why wouldn't you look at someone like Ryan
yeah.
Hunter-Reay?
I don't know how
Be
the
a
right
great.
decision is. Someone who's not been in IndyCar for 10 years, you put them in there and expect something to happen, or you expect contribution to the team. You're not going to get it. It's a marketing ploy, in my opinion, to put Catherine in the car. So
Yeah,
I
there's
don't think it
something
does
there,
the.
right? I mean, you're right.
That's all
She's
it
been out of that
is.
car for a long time. That was completely out of left field for me. Completely out of left field for me. I fully
Hmm.
expected Ryan Hunter-Reay. That was completely
Yeah.
out of left field for me. The sponsorship, I didn't get the sense that this was a sponsor that she brought necessarily, right? The only thing I can put this to that I did see out there was Honda had been looking for an opportunity to get her back into the 500. So it might be a situation where, Ray Hall had tagged an extra Indy 500 Honda engine,
Hmm.
and Honda might have said, if you're going to run this engine and we're going to allow you to run this engine, we'd like you to consider these drivers.
Yeah. And from my perspective, it's not that I don't want her in the race. Like, I'm totally fine with it. I just don't think it's with the right team. You got a team that's
Oh
struggling,
yeah, man.
a team that's trying
Wrong
to.
time, right? I mean,
Yeah, so
it's
I
the
just
wrong
don't think
time
it's
for
the.
this team.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just don't think it's the right position to put her in, and even the team, and stretch the team thin. I don't know if they are stretching the team thin, but I'm assuming they would be by adding a fourth car. And I, I think the expectation for me is zero. Like, I have zero
Yeah.
expectation for her to do well, and I just think it's a situation that she's kind of thrown into. Obviously, would you jump at the chance as a driver? Of course you will, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, doesn't do anything for me. I think
Right.
Ryan Hunter-Bray makes more sense just from, let's try to figure out what's going on with these cars. They were terrible, terrible in qualifying last year, and ran around the back most of the day at Indianapolis.
Mhm.
Where the year before they were better. So I don't know. We'll see
Yeah.
what comes out of this. I don't think
And
anything positive
let
is.
me clean this up a little bit. I'm not Ryan Hunter-Ray bashing by any stretch of the imagination. Never met him. I'm sure he's fine. Like I said, I applaud the career that he's had. I'm a soda pop salesman. He's a retired IndyCar driver. So, that's that. But it's like, I think he's done a nice job with it, but my point is that time is gone, right? Can we just put that to rest, please? Right? Because you see somebody like Linus Lundqvist, right, who's
Mhm.
starting his career and has gone into the Indy Ladder, right, series, and has done well and has shown well and has a championship in Indy Lights under his belt, and the guy's going to be watching it from home. So when you
Mhm.
look at that and you say, well, would you put somebody like Ryan Hunter-Ray in a car? Well, why wouldn't we put somebody like Linus Lundqvist in the car? Right? When you look at
Mhm.
that, why wouldn't Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan look at some Linus Lundqvist for the car instead
Yeah.
of Kathrine Legge? Right? If she didn't bring that sponsor, and I don't think she did, if she didn't bring that sponsor, I don't what why put her in that
I
car
don't know.
unless
I
Honda
really
needed
don't
it
know.
for some other reason, right? There's some other downstream effort as to why
Mhm.
that's happening the way it's happening. Um, but it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
hard
just
to
gonna
say.
say, I think it's apparent to the listeners that Ryan Hunter-Ray does not return your emails.
That's so awesome. That is not who we reached out to. But
I
honestly, if
know
I
it's not,
reached
but it was
out,
like the
yeah,
perfect line.
yeah, if I reached out to Ryan Hunter Ray, I promise you he would not return my messages. I am certain of that. I am certain of that.
uh, Love it. That's so good. Well,
He's gonna be at St. Pete. Yeah, I'm more than likely gonna come face
Get
to
him
face
on
with
record.
and I'll be all
Get your
fanboy
phone
with
out
him.
there.
So I'll be like, Ryan, as soon as
Did you
I
buy
see
a
him,
mic this time?
yeah.
Do you got a little mic?
No, I'm just
Attaches
gonna
to
use
your
the phone.
phone. Come on. We got to get this. We'll
Yeah.
have to drop some interviews in our podcast.
I'm hoping to. That's my goal. So,
all right, get a little mic. I'll send one.
yeah.
I'll go on.
I'm not doing
I'll
that.
go on
yet.
Amazon after this and get you one that plugs into your phone.
You have anything else on that? I think we beat that one.
No, I don't. I think it's a terrible move, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
For everything that we said, it's a terrible move.
Right. 100 Days to Indy debuts on the CW. We've got a date now. It's April 27th. Each episode will drop every Thursday at 9 Eastern for 6 consecutive weeks leading up to the Indy 500, and then there'll be a Indy 500 follow-up race.
Yeah, and if you missed our episode on the 100 Days to Indy, you need to go check it out. It's an interview.
Yeah, go check it out with Sean Compton. Great interview, great insights. He's a fan of the
I'm
series,
looking forward to this, actually.
Me too.
I stumbled across, and I'm going to talk golf for a second, Full Swing, which is from the producers of Drive to Survive, the Formula One. And I got hooked. And I'm not a golf fan by any means, but I got hooked on the series. And they followed a few players. They got insights. It's like behind the scenes, like stuff you never see during a broadcast of PGA Tour. And it prompted me, and this is no joke, people. This is no joke. Part of their coverage was the PGA Tour in Detroit at the Detroit Country Club. And I was like, you know what? Maybe we should just take the kids one day and go check out a round. Would have never thought about going there.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I would totally do that. I think.
But you haven't done it.
I have. Well, no, I haven't. I've been before to different ones, but to take the kids and just do something different would be kind of fun to do that after seeing behind the scenes. So my hope in saying this is that people will see this and they will, decide to go to IndyCar event just because they saw the 100 Days to Indy.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun. I also think, and this is where I actually thought you were going with this, is CW and Vice. They're, like we said, they're in 99% of households, right? They're in over the air. You don't have to subscribe. You're not getting this on cable. You're getting this whether you got it or not. They're picking up, I believe, the rights to the Live series, right? The competing golf series to the PGA. And they're picking up the broadcast rights for that series. So it feels to me like CW is trying to make an effort in building a sports portfolio. Is the FBI
which is
there,
good
Tim?
for the CW. What's that?
Is the FBI there, Tim?
No, there's a dog out front, and my dogs are going nuts and barking in the background because I'm really the only one home besides my youngest son is here, but I guess I'm not the only one home, so no one's correcting the dog. So anyways, it's a little chaotic here. So that's interesting because the Live tournament is talked about during the broadcast on Netflix, and I didn't know they were picking that up. So good insight from your side, but it does kind of leapfrog them into sports, which traditionally the CW has not done sports. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, interesting. I'm looking forward to that. So April 27th. Finally, Indy 500 will again feature the talents of Mike Tirico and Danica Patrick.
I love it. I know you don't care, but I like Tirico.
I like Mike Tirico. Yeah.
Tirico is the voice of NBC, and he's the voice every major event, even
on NBC. Yeah.
Yeah, even at Augusta or even at wherever St. Andrews across the pond where the big tournaments are. But anything that they do, he's there. Olympics. So I think it's huge for 500. I think it brings a familiar voice to people that are just tuning in to go, oh, we know Mike. And Danica's fine.
I think she's fine. I think she's good.
She does well.
She's totally fine. Yep.
Yeah. We were in the area by the pagoda when they kicked off coverage a couple years ago. And so we were in the background and we were on TV. Imagine that, which I don't like to be on TV. I don't know how I even do this podcast and sit on camera with you, but
we were on TV at Detroit too. Remember the back of us, which it was the second time I saw the back of my head, which was startling to me, but nonetheless.
It was like Kevin Harvick's.
No, it was just, it was starting to get a little.
I see. You're starting to look like me a little bit. I get it. I'm excited.
One of these days, I might be a bold guy.
Yeah, I think that's bigger news than what we talked about with RL.
Tarico and Patrick. Oh my god.
Announcing versus Kathrine Legge having a fourth car.
You are
I
crazy.
think that's bigger news. I think it brings more to the Indy 500 than Kathrine brings to the Indy 500.
Right.
Finally, you don't
Finally.
want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
No,
Do
I'm
you?
leaving that one alone.
And I'm not bashing. I'm just saying for the development of that team.
More to come on IndyCar as we get ready to give our preseason predictions in the next episode, which should be in a week's time in our regular drop period right on Mondays. Finally, before we go, Tim, quickly, F1 completed all their launches. Some were livery launches, some were actual cars. What were your thoughts?
Well, I can't get away from it in my house because I've got a teenager that runs around and says, look at the new livery, look at this. And I'm getting texts in the middle of the day while I'm working and he's at school. So I saw it all and
he's a wonderful student too. So just, I don't think he needs to change.
Oh yeah. He's a straight A student. He's really good. But anyway, so I enjoyed it, honestly, and I don't mind it at all. I wish IndyCar would do a little more, follow in line a little bit, which, McLaren's sort of brought that F1 flavor and brought their cars and did their launches, which was good to see. I think it's important to do just to create some excitement and buzz. So I enjoyed it. I'm wondering what your favorite is. I had.
Do you want to read my notes for the listeners? The notes that I provided you.
Yeah, it says my favorite, of course, was ... because they ... and I really enjoyed that. That's the notes, folks. In case you didn't hear it, my favorite, of course, was.
My favorite, of course, was
and I
Ferrari,
really enjoyed that
because they actually showed the car, and they left from the debut to get on track, their own track at Fiorano. And I enjoyed that. I think that's the way those things should go. That's the way those things have historically gone, right? Yeah. I don't know what Mercedes can do over the next 2 weeks or whatever to look at a rendering of, a 2023 Ferrari Formula One Challenger and say, "Ooh, we need to start getting," especially with the cost cap. We got to take a look at what they did with the, front wing end plates and get that into development. It's like there's not enough time here.
Yeah. Ferrari's livery is very classic, right? It's a very classic look. They brought the red back, more red, right? They got off of the maroon color. My favorite, it's the Mercedes. I love the all black. It's sharp.
Back to the all black. It
reminds me of Haas back in the day. Newman Haas, I'm talking about, with the Texaco car all black. So that's where I'm going. But
there was a lot of raw carbon on that Mercedes as well when they showed it, which I'm a fan of, as you know. I'm a huge fan of that look.
Yeah. So you went obviously very traditional. I think Mercedes with an all black car, to me, is traditional too. I know they call them the silver arrows, but at the end of the day, they had a black car for several years before they went back to silver.
But is that your favorite car too? Is that your favorite livery, I should say?
It is, yeah.
Is it? Alpine continues to be my favorite livery, the blue and the pink.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, any of our cycling jerseys have to have pink in it, and even the bracelet around your mic is got pink on it too, right? Yeah. From my
that was given
daughter.
to me by LB, yeah. So
yeah,
that's fantastic.
She gave that to you. So, and even today when she watches, every once in a while she'll watch. She's like, I can't believe Mr. Dan still has the bracelet on his microphone. Yeah.
Mr. Dan's going to Phoenix tomorrow, and he has 2 pink shirts on deck to take.
Of course he does. And if I wear one jersey today that you provided, it's got pink on it as well.
Which one?
Your cycling club. What is it called?
Screws loose. Yeah, that's right.
Screws loose. So your cycling club. So I got a jersey. Did I ever pay you for that? I don't even know.
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
That's all I got.
All right, you're going to St. Pete, but we're recording one more time before that to give our predictions.
Yep.
All right, folks. That's what we have, right?
That's all I got. Hey, continue to engage with us on social media. Look for us out there on Twitter, Instagram. We've even got a TikTok. And, we'll continue to put as much out there. We love the engagement, of course, on our YouTube as well. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week with predictions. We will have a guest, but we will catch you with our season predictions for IndyCar. Take care, everybody.
See you.